welcome to Mega MNCs. Today we're at the Siemens campus in Kalwa, which is home to about 5 of Siemens' 22 factories here in India. It's an exciting visit. It's one of the campuses that has the digitization factory, which I'm dying to see, and we're going to do that shortly. We're here, of course, to meet Sunil Mathur, the MD and CEO. Sunil, remember, started his career here at Siemens and was the first Indian CFO and CEO at Siemens. Sunil, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
The fact that you're a career Siemens individual, you started here, you have unique access to the journey of the company in India. Talk to us a little about that. Share with us some of your early experiences.
Siemens has been here for 150 years. We started in 1867. In fact, the first telegraph line in the world was drawn between Calcutta and London way back then.
Right.
So, and ever since then, Siemens has evolved. We've gone through multiple cycles. We started off small as a small product motor company here in Mumbai, and have graduated now to 22 factories, 23,000 people here in the country.
Fantastic. So how does it stand in the global perspective currently? I know it's one of the key markets, of course, globally, but share with us how much more priority perhaps it is today than it would have been, decades ago.
Well, India is definitely one of the largest growth markets of Siemens globally. And there aren't too many countries around the world that are growing at the rate at which India is. And Siemens, over a period of time, has evolved here in the country to be a major electrical company, but also an infrastructure company. So it is hugely critical. Our board is with very eminent people. We have Mr. Deepak Parekh, who is our chairman. We have Mr. Kaiser, who is the global CEO of Siemens, who is also on our board. So it is really a very significant part of the global environment.
And it continues to be an exciting time for Siemens because you're very big on the digitization agenda currently. Give me a synopsis of that, and then I know we're going to also take a tour, so we're going to be able to see some of what you're planning to do.
Oh, absolutely. So Siemens has evolved over the years. We have been known traditionally as being an electrical company. So we were known for our motors, for our switch gears, for our transformers, and very robust and very sound technology on electricals. Over a period of time, we evolved from being an electrical company to being also an automation company. And we advanced our technologies over there into automation. And now we have more or less converged into a digitalization company. And today, not many people will know, we are one of the top 10 IT companies in the world. So it has been an evolutionary process.
And it's very significant evolution. That
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The advantage is we know our products. We are in over 30 market verticals, so from food and beverages to pharmaceuticals to oil and gas to power generation, etc. And we know how these processes work. We know how the equipment works. So digitalization was a natural evolution in that process.
Got it. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. And tell me a little bit about the space we're sitting in today. I think this is a co-working space, bang in the middle of your factory. What made you decide to actually have a space like this?
So in a way, this has evolved as part of our digitalization strategy. And, as an electrical company, you're usually used to working on your own, wait for specifications to come in, and then work on tender specifications. And it was a very industrial company. But as we evolve and you get much younger people into the company, you have to be able to start working in teams much closer. And the younger people are not looking for hierarchies and looking for cabins and cubicles. They're looking to work together and co-work, actually, and develop solutions. So we are now moving from a stage where we were actually delivering products to now saying, tell us what your problems are, and we will try and find a solution to answer your greatest needs. But for that, you need people to come together and to work together in smaller groups to derive solutions. And it is actually critical that you have people across all your functions being able to do that. So you need engineers, you need finance people, you need technical people all coming together. And for that, you can't create a formalized structure. You've got to give people the space to be able to come together. And this is exactly what we have done over here, right in the middle of one of our oldest factories, develop this space where people can come and really work together to answer customers' issues.
Fantastic. So what are we going to see first today as we walk around the campus?
Well, we will move from here to our transformer factory. Transmission and distribution is a huge part of our business. And then we will move on to our digitalization showcase. This is a factory that we are hugely proud of. We'll talk more about it when we get there. And I think finally, making profits only makes sense if you're able to give back to society. So we'd like to show you then what we are doing in terms of skilling people. It's a huge initiative that we have launched here. We'll take you there to show you really what we are doing over there to really answer some of the real needs of skilling here in the country.
All right, so let's dive right in and take you on a tour of the Siemens campus here in Kalwa. Okay, so we're in this the energy transmission power kind of factory. Talk to us about what goes on over here exactly.
So this is the power transformer test field.
Okay.
And what you see around over here is where we test up to 1200 kV power transformers.
Right.
It's one of the largest and most powerful test fields in the country.
And I want to tell the story that you were telling me just before this. All the protective equipment that we're wearing is for a very good reason. For the moment, they're not testing anything. But if they were, you were telling me that it could be a highly dangerous situation, which is why it's so important to be safe.
Absolutely. So we take no chances. Yeah. It is important for us, and health and safety, you touched on a very good point. This is hugely important for us, particularly being in an electrical environment, that we are taking care of everyone in our premises and those who work with us from a safety perspective. And that's why you've got all this paraphernalia on. This is an active test field here.
Amazing. And tell me a little bit about the equipment. I mean, I know I don't understand, this proper power equipment, but it looks state-of-the-art. Tell us a little bit more about the factory. Tell us a little bit more about the kind of technology that you're using here.
Right. So let me maybe take a step back on the entire energy scenario, right? The government is looking at power for all. That is to ensure that every individual in every part of the country has 24/7 power. And that is where Siemens is extremely well placed. We bring in power generation. So we are able to generate or create power plants and build power plants, turbines, generators. And then we transmit the power. We are able to transmit the power through our transformers and our transmission lines right up to what is called the HVDC, high voltage direct current transmission lines, with that technology there. And this is where we test a lot of that, what we build in terms of the power transformers. And then we are able to bring it from the high voltage down to the medium and the low voltage, which is what you see in factories and in your homes, and what brings the lights into your homes.
Fantastic. Okay.
And we are able to do that entire bandwidth from power generation to transmission, right through distribution.
Got it.
All together. And that's the kind of technology that we are able to offer here in the country.
All right, so how important or how much does power continue to contribute in your overall portfolio of services now? Because you're in so many different key segments, whether it be infra, mobility, power, energy, and now, of course, digitization. So share with us a little bit more about how you see that breakup over the next few years.
Well, power is going to be an area that everybody's going to need.
Yeah.
As the country grows, they will need infrastructure, and power is going to play a very key role for that. So today, power, the entire generation, transmission, and distribution is about 30% of our entire portfolio in the company. We expect this to grow. As the country grows and needs more infrastructure and needs more power, we are there with the entire spectrum to serve that need.
Serve that need. And what about renewables, or whether it be thermal-based power, renewables, green energy, entering into that space?
Absolutely, you've touched on a very, very good angle. So renewables, we have a joint venture with Siemens Gamesa, which is at a global level. And Siemens Gamesa is a separate company here, a leader in renewables in the country. But energy is moving away from being coal-driven to being much more greener.
Sure.
And you're looking at alternative fuels, you're looking at energy storage, you're looking at hydrogen as being a major source of energy in the future. And these are technologies that we are working on right now, and hope that we can also bring into the country.
Okay. So, Sunil, you have so many different kinds of power then. How does that impact the grid?
Very good question. As you get renewables coming in and you get the normal power with thermal and all the other kinds of sources coming in, the grid becomes unstable. And therefore, it is critical to ensure that you stabilize the grid. And that is also technology that we are able to bring in with FACTS technology and STATCOMs to help stabilize the grid over long distances as well. What is also critical is when you generate power, you use a lot of coal because you have to keep ramping up and ramping down the power plants depending on the need of power and the time of day. And every time you ramp up a power plant, it takes that much longer and you use that much more fuel. So you actually need flexibility to be able to ramp up and down much faster. And that is a technology that we are also able to bring in and are in discussions with various power producers to see how can we ramp up and ramp down, be more flexible in the power plants so that actually you don't use that much coal and you don't use that much fuel and are much more efficient in meeting the needs of the power demand as and when it comes.
Across segments, whether it be power, infra, what kind of impact are you seeing of the slowdown? It's being felt all around. I know Siemens has managed to reassure analysts with how it's still retaining its balance sheet quite fairly, but everyone's feeling the pinch. Share with us your perspective.
Well, yes, I think there is a pinch. Infrastructure spending is not happening too much. Private sector spending is also not happening. And those are areas of concern. So I believe strongly that it is critical for government spending to increase in power, in the railways, in a lot of areas of infrastructure, because when the public sector starts spending, private sector will spend as well, because that has a knock-on effect in the entire supply chain.
All right, where are we going to next?
So we move here from a high-level electrical factory and electrical discussion to digitalization. So we will move now to our contactor factory, where we will demonstrate to you what we are doing in Industry 4.0, which has become a real catchword here in the country and indeed around the world now.
So this is the digitization factory, one of its kind. I think there are only three of its like in the world.
That's right. So we are very proud of this.
Yes.
This is a factory, Abha, where we make circuit protection devices. And this is really our showcase. And it's something that we are very proud of because we think this could be a model for India. You are in a factory which is over 50 years old. And which is typical of most Indian factories, old brownfield factories.
Right.
This factory used to produce 80 variants of this product, circuit protection products, that we manufacture here. And we were looking, and we used to produce 80 variants of this on 3 production lines.
Right, right.
And we were looking to expand the number of variants. But we never actually got down to it because you needed additional production lines and there was additional capex.
Right, right.
So we said this is a problem that most small and medium enterprises face in the country is how do they expand in terms of capex because maybe they don't get access to funding. So we said, let's try that same problem and try and address that here in our own factory.
Okay.
Over roughly a year and a half, we have gone from 80 variants of circuit protection devices on 3 production lines to 180 variants on 1 production line. So you see the amount of capex that has actually been saved.
Yes.
We are producing now 180 variants using the same number of people.
Right.
So you save resources.
Sure.
We are using less space. So you save space costs, right? We used to do 22 quality checks.
Right.
We now do 68 quality checks. So the quality level has gone up 3 times.
Right.
We manufacture a product. We used to do it at 21 seconds. So each of these used to take 21 seconds to make.
Sure, sure.
We are now down to 9 seconds.
Wow.
So you see, when you put all that through, this is all Industry 4.0.
I was just going to say, I said this is clearly the way forward.
This is clearly
the future.
the way forward. And this is what is so critical for small and medium enterprises. Many small and medium enterprises believe Industry 4.0 is for the big boys.
Right.
In reality, it's actually for them. Because this is where the real power of technology can help you produce more with less.
Right.
It avoids unnecessary capex, increases the productivity, and saves additional capital requirement.
Right. So how does this also fit into, the government's plan, what we keep hearing about in terms of smart cities, digitizing India, along those lines? How does it fit into that plan?
Oh, absolutely. So Industry 4.0 can be applied basically to any vertical that you're looking at.
Okay.
So whether you are in food and beverages, pharmaceuticals, whatever, the key is, can I get the maximum flexibility with the highest level of quality and with the best performance levels? And that can be applied to smart cities, can be applied to manufacturing, can be applied to the electrical equipment, to every single sphere of life.
So give me a sense of how this has played out in the factories that are already present overseas, the 2 others.
Yes.
In terms of how you can see the impact already, what we're really heading towards.
So when you apply this, we have a factory in Germany that has a productivity and a quality level of 99.99%.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
Let me put this in perspective for India. The government has said they want to increase the share of manufacturing from 15% of GDP to 25% of GDP. GDP today around $2 trillion, 15% is $300 billion. Growing at 7 or 8% very quickly. For argument's sake, you get to 4 trillion. Let's talk about 5 trillion after that, but say 4 trillion just for calculation purposes. 25% of 4 trillion is a trillion. So you're looking at adding $700 billion of contribution to GDP from manufacturing.
Right.
The capex requirement for that $700 billion is at least 2 times that. So you're looking at $1.5 trillion of capex that this country is going to be putting in the next couple of years. Now, there aren't too many countries around the world that are doing this kind of growth. So it is an imperative for Indian companies to be able to get that technology to become globally competitive.
Absolutely. So from what you're saying, it still sounds like all signals go in terms of globally attention being on India.
Absolutely.
The environment, though, must be becoming even more competitive then in that landscape,
Absolutely.
Right? How does that work for you? And also the current macro environment, does that also create any fresh challenges?
Well, yes, the macro environment is no longer stable, but I think those are the challenges that businesses have to face today and have to get used to change and continuous change. But looking at it in that perspective, I think there is no doubt about the India story.
Okay.
The India story may be slowing down for a little bit. And in India, you've got to be here for the long haul.
Right.
This is not a short sprint. This is a long marathon.
Sure.
And if you're committed to the country the way we are, the growth story in India is unbeatable.
Just to sort of put the pieces together in the global context as well, you also export to key markets. Any slowdown you're seeing there, along with, of course, what we're seeing on the domestic front. What's your outlook going forward as well, overall, on business? If we are in the throes of a slowdown, when do you see things getting better?
I think we have got to learn now as businesses to live with volatility.
Sure.
And we've got to be able, and Industry 4.0 and this factory is just part of that.
Yes.
So that you're able to be flexible to address the global issues. But I think there will be a situation where India will get to center stage.
Okay.
As I said, there are not too many countries around that are growing. And I think we can argue about how long it'll take and whether it'll take too long. As long as we are ready for the uptick, when the uptick comes, we'll be fine.
Well, you look like you're prepared for
we
that
are
uptick.
ready. So, Amma, just a point on that. As Siemens, the government is talking about power for all.
Yes.
We are in power generation, transmission, distribution. The government is talking about digital India. This is digital India.
Yes.
Right? The government is talking about modernizing the railways. We are present in the railway business, right? The government is talking about smart cities. We are in smart cities.
Yes.
So effectively, as Siemens, we are beautifully positioned to partner with the government in all their thrust areas and part of the growth story of the country.
What's been the reception so far to the kind of work that you're doing here among the SMEs, the kind of visible impact you had?
Oh, there's been a huge enthusiasm to really see Industry 4.0 in action. So when you talk to people and you talk about Industry 4.0, everyone has a different interpretation about it. It's a little bit about the blind man and the elephant sort of thing. Everybody has a little piece of it, but nobody really sees it in action.
Yeah.
And this is a factory where we can actually showcase what Industry 4.0 is in action.
Yeah.
So we are getting huge numbers of customers and huge numbers of industry bodies coming here wanting to see what really the Industry 4.0 looks like, not in a small vertical, but in totality.
Sure.
And we are able to showcase that in a factory that is not a showcase factory, but is actually producing for our own requirements. And our people here are able to demonstrate every single step of the manufacturing process and articulate what the impact of Industry 4.0 has been there.
Amazing. You must be spending hours in training over here at
Absolutely.
Siemens.
Absolutely.
Right. And we're actually looking forward to seeing some of the other work as well on skill development. And I think that's where we're going next to get a live sample of that. So let's go across to our next campus. You know, Sunil, we speak to a lot of companies these days, and whether they be old school or new, it's really about finding meaning and really engaging employees in the next level of the company's growth. Talk to us about what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. I think a lot of what is critical for industry today is having a purpose. And this is the purpose that we have set ourselves, is really skill development. We have here an institute that we have created in our own premises, which follows the dual vocational educational training program that Germany has actually introduced, where you have 1/3 of the program classroom training, 1/3 workshop, and 1/3 with industry. And these are students here that we have picked up from across the country with family incomes of less than 200,000 a year that come here and are being trained in electrician and fitter trades and go out then and become part of industry, completely transforms their lives, but more importantly, addresses the skill development gap that this country actually has.
Absolutely.
If we are going to be moving to Industry 4.0, if we want to grow as a country, skill development is going to be the single largest need in the country. And that's not going to come only with the highly skilled people, but also from people over here.
Yeah.
And it's all about inclusiveness. And this is what we have set ourselves as a target. So we are doing around 12,000 students a year right now for skill development over a 2 or 3 year period. By 21, we will be at 70,000. And our target is to get to 500,000. So it's
fabulous.
Completely transforming people's lives here.
I think it's a wonderful thing to see, and it also shows how critical the manufacturing sector is as part of India's growth story going ahead.
Absolutely. It will not come unless you have skilled people to address that need.
Sunil, thank you so much for spending the day with us today. Leave us with your vision or your outlook for where you see us, whether it be India, whether it be Siemens' place in that strategic plan, but let's say over the next 5 years, 10 years, what's the vision?
Well, we as Siemens are hugely positive about the India growth story. And I think, as I said earlier, we can have blips in the economy, but overall, we are completely convinced about the story. And we are equipping ourselves to really partner with India in every part of that growth activity. So when you look at it and you look at energy, we're actually contributing hugely to bringing power to every single household in the country. When we look at our mobility solutions, we are supporting the country in the entire logistics part and improving logistics. When you look at manufacturing, you are bringing a completely different level of productivity into the country. So we would like to believe that we are really being partners to India, and we are privileged as Siemens, and indeed every employee here, to be part of that story.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us at Mega MNCs, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for having us here today.
Thank you very much.
That's all from us today on the show with Sunil Mathur here at the Siemens campus in Kalwa. Thanks for watching.